Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Look, the Yankees are making moves behind the scenes that nobody's really talking about yet, and it involves two pitchers that could completely reshape what this rotation looks like come opening day. I'm talking about real conversations happening right now that could determine whether this team contends or falls flat in 2026. So stick around because we're going to break down exactly what Brian Cashman is cooking up and why this matters way more than people realize. What's happening right now in the Bronx is fascinating because while everyone's been focused on the big splashy signings that didn't happen, Cashman has quietly been working the phones on deals that could actually make a difference. We're talking about Edward Cabrera from the Marlins and Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, two completely different pitchers with two completely different timelines, but both could solve the massive hole this team has in their rotation. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first. This offseason has been underwhelming, and that's putting it nicely. You've got Paul DeJong on a minor league deal, Ahmed Rosario, Trent Grisham coming back, and that's basically it for noteworthy moves. Meanwhile, every pitcher the Yankees get connected to ends up signing somewhere else. It's been frustrating to watch, and the clock is ticking. But these two names, Cabrera and Peralta, these are the real deals that could actually happen. Edward Cabrera is the interesting one because he represents the long-term play. This guy isn't a free agent until after 2029, which means if the Yankees trade for him, they're getting 4 years of control. 4 years. That's not just plugging a hole for one season. That's building something sustainable. And here's what makes Cabrera special. His stuff against left-handed hitters is elite. We're talking about one of the toughest righties in baseball for lefties to face. For a team that lives and dies by analytics, that's exactly the profile Cashman should be chasing. Last season, Cabrera went 8-7 with a 3.53 ERA across 26 starts and racked up 150 strikeouts. Now, those aren't Cy Young numbers, but here's the thing. League sources are saying Cabrera has more upside than Sandy Alcantara right now. And if you remember what Alcantara was doing when he was dominant, that's a big statement. The Marlins believe Cabrera is just scratching the surface of what he can do, and getting him to work with Matt Blake and the Yankees pitching infrastructure could unlock something special. The trade talks are heating up, and from what's being reported, the Yankees don't have to give up their top prospects to get this done. We're not talking about Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez or Carlos Langara. It's more likely someone like Dylan Lewis, which makes this even more appealing. You're not gutting the farm system for a guy who could be your number 3 starter for the next 4 years. Then there's Freddie Peralta, and this is where it gets really interesting because Peralta is the win now option. He's making just $8 million in his final year before free agency, which is an absolute bargain for what he brings. Two-time All-Star, 17-6 last year with a 2.70 ERA with the Brewers when they were the hottest team in baseball. 204 strikeouts in 176 innings. Those are ace numbers, and you're getting him for 1 year at less than $10 million. The catch with Peralta is that you only have him guaranteed for one season. If the Yankees are serious about going all in for 2026, Peralta makes perfect sense. You slot him into that rotation alongside Garrett Cole and Max Fried when they're healthy, and suddenly you've got one of the most dangerous top 3 rotations in baseball, Cole, Fried, Peralta. That's a playoff rotation right there. But if you're thinking long-term, Cabrera is probably the smarter play because you're not just renting him for a year. Here's the reality of where the Yankees rotation stands right now. Max Fried is solid. You know what you're getting from him. Clark Schmidt is probably not pitching in 2026 after his injury. Garrett Cole is coming back from injury. Carlos Rodon is coming back from injury. That's a lot of uncertainty. And uncertainty in your rotation is how you end up in trouble by May. You need stability. And right now, outside of Fried and maybe Carlos Rodon if he's healthy, there's not a lot of it. If the Yankees get Peralta, your opening day rotation could look like this. Max Fried at number 1 because Cole's on a pitch count early, Peralta at 2, Cam Schlittler at 3, who's been developing really nicely, Ryan Yarbrough at 4 as more of an innings eater, and then you're picking between Will Warren and Luis Gil for that 5th spot. That's a rotation that can compete. That's a rotation that doesn't have you panicking in April when you're trying to build momentum. With Cabrera, it looks a little different but still solid. Fried at 1, Schlittler at 2, Cabrera at 3, Yarbrough at 4, and again, Warren or Gill at 5. The difference is Cabrera gives you that security beyond just 2026. When Cole and Rodon are fully back and healthy, you've still got Cabrera locked in as a legit number 4 or 5 starter, and that depth matters when you're trying to win in October. The concern with Will Warren and Luis Gill is consistency. Both of them have shown flashes of being really good, but neither has proven they can handle a full season in the rotation. Gill especially has dealt with injuries his entire career. He'll look great for a few starts, then he's on the injured list, then he comes back and struggles. That's not someone you can rely on as a guaranteed piece of your rotation, which is why adding Cabrera or Peralta becomes so critical. What makes Peralta intriguing beyond just his stuff is his track record. He's been an all-star twice, he's performed in big moments, and he's done it with a smaller market team in Milwaukee. Now, that does raise the question of how he'd handle New York, because the media scrutiny and pressure is completely different in the Bronx than it is in Milwaukee. But if you're just looking at talent and what he can do on the mound, there's no question he'd immediately make this rotation better. The financial side of Peralta is also worth noting. $8 million for a guy who pitched like a number 2 starter last year is insane value. The Yankees aren't exactly broke, but after the money they spent on Fried and the commitments they have to Cole, Judge, and Stanton, getting production like Peralta's at that price tag is smart business. You're not hamstringing yourself financially, and you're getting elite production for 1 year while you figure out the long-term plan. With Cabrera, you're making a different kind of bet. You're betting on development and upside. You're betting that Matt Blake can take a guy who's already pretty good and turn him into someone great. The Yankees have had success developing pitchers, and Cabrera fits the profile of someone who could take a leap forward with better coaching and infrastructure around him. Plus, having him under team control through 2029 gives you flexibility. If he develops into a legitimate number 2 or 3 starter, that's incredible value. If he stays as a solid 4 or 5, you've still got depth. The reality is the Yankees need to do something, because the rotation as currently constructed isn't good enough to win a championship. You can't rely on injury comebacks and unproven young guys and expect to compete with the Dodgers, Phillies, and Braves. You need proven starters who can eat innings and give you quality starts consistently, and right now that's only Fried and maybe Schlittler if he continues his development. What's been reported is that the Yankees have been talking to multiple teams and agents, which signals they know they need to add at least one more starter. The question is whether they go for the long-term play with Cabrera or the win-now play with Peralta. Both have merit, and honestly, both would make this team significantly better than they are right now. If I'm Cashman, I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to get both. Trade for Cabrera, then work out a separate deal for Peralta. That gives you the immediate help for 2026 and the long-term security through 2029. It might cost more in terms of prospects and financial commitment, but if you're serious about competing, that's the kind of aggressive move that changes the trajectory of your season. The other factor here is what it does for your bullpen. If you've got a reliable 5-man rotation that can consistently go 6 or 7 innings, you're not burning out your bullpen in April and May. Clay Holmes and the rest of your high-leverage guys stay fresh, and that matters in September and October when games get tight. A lot of teams flame out late in the season because their bullpen is cooked, and having starting pitching depth prevents that. One last thing to consider is what this does for team morale and confidence. If you go into the season with question marks all over your rotation, guys start pressing. They feel like they have to be perfect every time out because there's no margin for error. But if you've got Fried, Peralta, or Cabrera, Schlittler, and then Cole and Rodon coming back, there's confidence. Guys know they've got support, and that changes the mentality of the entire roster. So where does this leave us? The Yankees are clearly in the market for starting pitching, and Cabrera and Peralta are the 2 names that keep coming up in serious conversations. Cabrera gives you long-term security and high upside. Peralta gives you immediate elite production at a bargain price. Either one makes this team better, and if Cashman can somehow swing both, this rotation goes from a question mark to a legitimate strength. The pieces are there, the conversations are happening. Now it's just about getting the deals done before spring training starts and the window closes.